Okay, here we are back in Affluence Financial CRM. And don't you just love that name, by the way? Inspires so much confidence. Like these guys must know what they're doing. Anyway, we're here to talk about survey. So you probably know how to get there already. If it does not appear here in your apps, go ahead and go to the administrative panel. Let's look at the list of apps, add it, so we can start building surveys. Applications, add application. Let's add survey to this organization, this account. Awesome. Let's go to manage and then launch this application. So here we are. This is the welcome page. We're going to go ahead and just create a survey from scratch. And here's the use case. We're going to learn how to gather data from survey and pipe it into CRM. And we're also going to learn how to pre-populate data from the CRM into the survey. And then we're actually going to put this into a new custom module. Affluence Financial, they want to gather data on, what do people think about our services? Are people happy with it? Can we improve anything? So we're going to create a custom module called Service Reviews. And every time we complete a deal with someone, we're going to send out a survey to them so that they can give us a review, give us some feedback on how the service went, how it was working with our financial planners. And so that's what the survey will primarily be for. Pipe it into the CRM, relate it back to the customer records. But for now, this next video, we'll build out the survey. We'll go ahead and build a custom module. But just have that in the back of your mind. That's our use case. That is the goal. Lots of cool things to learn with this app. Let's get started. So after you've clicked create your survey from scratch, go ahead and give it a name, give it a category, which this is a customer satisfaction category. Click create. And it looks like we cannot have an exclamation point in there. Let's go ahead and take that off. And now here's the survey builder. A lot of cool things you can do here in surveys. To start with, we're just going to have some of those basic intro questions. We can just drag in a short answer and put your name, make it mandatory. Some of these, in fact, you could use the full name field, but I'll show you why we're going to put your name here just as a short answer. The next one, we'll put company name, and then we will put your financial advisor. And then after that, we go into the survey, the feedback sort of questions. So let's put some long answer. What went well with your service? Maybe tell us what went well with your service. So this is, multiple paragraphs. They just want to laud us forever. Say, oh, these guys were amazing. Glorify our names. They can do that. But we also want to give them the chance to tell us what we can improve. And go ahead and play around with some of these other data types, some of these questions that you can throw in. I'll just show you a pretty cool one. We want a matrix rating scale. And what we can do with this is please rate the following. And then here it just says enter one label per line. So we'll do we'll save overall service for last. So let's go ahead and do my advisor's reliability, my advisor's friendliness. Let's go ahead and do overall service. Let's go on a scale of 1 to 10. And then we can label the options. So we'll go very poor, and excellent. Actually, let's go ahead and do out of this world. And we'll make this question mandatory. Go ahead and click save. Now, in the next video, we'll go ahead and talk about layout rules, also known as logic right here. That's how you can add a little bit of extra added functionality to your survey. But for now, this is pretty good. Just basic survey. Go ahead and play around with some of these other options, experiment. But for next video, we'll talk about layout rules. So I went ahead and created these two fields just to keep this video a little bit shorter. But go ahead and create another question. How likely are you to recommend this to a friend? With these options, or you can also, customize them as you see fit. And then another one saying, hey, we're glad that you had a great experience with our services. Would you be willing to help us film a short promotional video? And this is simply a drop down, which is a lot like a pick list. In fact, they match up to pick lists. It's a drop down type field, and the options are just yes or no. What we want to do though, and you can do this a couple ways, you can click display logic here to navigate there, or just here on this front end builder question, click on this little drop down and click add logic. And instead of always displaying this question, how about we only display this question if a certain condition is met? So if we probably only want to ask people to film a short promotional video with us if they were really happy with our services. So if they are very likely to recommend us to a friend, let's display this question and see if they'd be willing to help us with a short promotional video. And then the way that looks is if you click on preview, and you can go see how this looks. In fact, pretty cool. You can see how it looks on a phone, on other devices. We'll go ahead and fill all these out. But if we say, I'm very likely to recommend Affluence Financial to a friend, this question pops up. And yes, I'd love to help you with the video. So that's how logic works. You can create logic rules based on a lot of different fields. On some others you can't though. So just play around with the experiment. And then in this next video, we'll go ahead and create a custom module where we can host all the survey answers. Okay, back in the CRM, you know how to create a custom module. Let's go up to settings, modules and fields, and then create a new module. And this is where you give it a name, you edit it, do everything you want. Basically, just create a place where you can host the answers from the surveys module. Now, I already created this module just so I could keep this video a little shorter. So if you look at this, this will give you a good idea of what kinds of fields you need. I deleted some and I added some new ones. So financial advisor, I just have this as a single line field, and later I'll explain why. But that's simple enough. You have the email field, and we also have a reason for that. Currency you can't get rid of. You can hide it with a layout rule if you want, just so it doesn't appear in the record view page. And then we have 3 number fields because this is our scale of 1 to 10, ranking the overall service, reliability, and friendliness of the financial advisor. The would recommend question, are you very likely to recommend this to a friend or never in a million years? Multi-line fields, where they can write multiple paragraphs, lots of text for what went well with the service and what could be improved. And then a lookup to the deals module, because after a record is created for a service review, we want to relate it back to a deal so that we have that lookup relationship. You should know how to create lookup fields. If not, go watch the Becoming a Zoho CRM Demigod course so that you can learn how to work with these. And then a question for promotional video, like yes or no, are you willing or interested in creating a promotional video with us? And if you are, think about creating a basic workflow rule with a task creation for if someone says yes, then we should have someone reach out to them to schedule a time, see when we can work on creating that. So pretty basic. This is the custom module to which we will be integrating our survey. Okay, now we're going to create what are called custom variables, and this helps with pre-populating data into a survey, and then also with that end goal process of connecting a survey back to the deal. So back here on our builder page, go up here to advanced options. Yes, this is advanced, gets slightly more complex, but it's actually not that complex, so no worries. Now, this says pass on information through your survey's link. So basically it kind of explains it, like that's what we're doing, passing information through a link, and then we have to name the parameter that will be appended to the URL. So be thinking in terms of links and then appending parameters, basically information from the CRM to that URL, and that will be piped into the survey. And anyway, you'll see how it works. So let's go ahead and start with, we'll go with client, and you can name it client or name, but because we're working with client and company, it just might be confusing. So I'm going to name this client, all lowercase. Also just going to name it client, all lowercase, and this is a text type. Another one we want is company. This is also a text type. Another one we want is email, which is an email type. And let me think, do we need another custom variable? We're going to do name, company, advisor. We're going to go with advisors. Who is your financial advisor? And that is also going to be a text type. So these are our 4 custom variables. You'll see how we'll use them in the next few videos. Just a couple best practices, keep them simply named. All lowercase is best because they are case sensitive. But yeah, before thinking too hard about it, just remember that passing information from the CRM from another module through a link to a specific survey using these variables, but the names is what's important. So we'll talk more about it in the next few videos. Okay, so we are essentially finished with our survey. We've built it. Go to launch and click publish. And now that we have that, let's go create a template so we can share this through an email. So go to customization, templates, new template. And remember, we want to send this out of the deals module when someone has closed a deal so that we can collect that feedback information and see how our service went. A lot of times I just like HTML plain text. We can say something like, hi, contact name, because there's a contact related to the deal. We'd like to hear some feedback from you. Anyway, the text does not matter a whole lot. The point is, so let's go here. If we want to insert a link, let's go click on Zoho Survey, and we have our review our services survey. Go ahead and copy all this because we actually have to append these parameters to the end of it. So I'm going to click cancel, copy that, and see how there's the base survey link, and then it says question mark from service Zoho CRM potentials equals deal ID. So that essentially is like, that's already a parameter that's appending, is the deal ID. And then anytime you want to add an extra parameter, you add the little ampersand sign. And our first, let's call it our first parameter, we had named client equals, and let's go ahead and do the hashtag so we can get the contact name. So this is coming from the deals record, but the contact name is our client. And so that will be the name of our client. Add another ampersand, and company, which is all lowercase, just simple one word, equals hashtag or pound sign, and we want the account name because this is the company we're working with. Another ampersand, email equals, now we want the email of the contact, and the reason you know it's right is we don't want the user email, we don't want the financial planning advisor's email. These are all other related lists, basically related modules from which we can draw information. We want the contacts, and this is just from the contact name lookup to the contacts module. We want that person's email. And our last one is the advisor, right? So advisor equals the financial planning advisor. Okay, this looks pretty long and complex, but let's go ahead and just copy all this. And now we can say, please click the this link to take 2 minutes and review our services. Select all of this, and we just want a web URL, and now we can paste what we just copied with all of those appended parameters. Now, I'm going to talk about this in the next video because that was long, a lot to go over. So go ahead and watch the next video to review. Okay, so that was a lot in that last video. If you understood it all, great. Go ahead and skip this one. We're just going to review for a minute what's happening. So if I click, well, actually, let's not click save yet. If I look at this whole URL, it now is appending to this URL some information from the CRM. The deal ID, the contact name, which is stored in our client variable, the account name, which is stored in our company variable, the contact's email, and the financial planning advisor's name. So all that information is now going to be stored in this specific link when this link is sent out from the CRM to a specific client, right? And so we want this in a web URL, because if I now click this and I say, oh yeah, I want a Zoho Survey link, if I select this, that is no longer going to have all of those parameters that I just appended. So I have to click cancel, and I have to copy this, and you could write all this out on your own. I would easily mess up with trying to get all these brackets and dollar signs and everything right. So I just go ahead and use it during, take advantage of the merge fields and build it that way. So I copied it, select all this, insert a hyperlink, and then just in a regular web URL link type, I paste my new longer URL. But that is now stored in this link. So I can delete this. I can say, thanks so much, your friends at Affluence Financial. So there we go. Now I guess I just need to review our services. Go ahead and save that in our, do a new folder. We'll do deals, emails, and we'll select all users. Great. So now that that is saved, we can then try sending it out, and we'll see that the information is pre-populated. Before we do that, though, we're going to integrate the survey with the CRM so that we can test everything all in one step. Okay, back on our survey page, let's go to Hub and integrate with Zoho CRM. Here are a few other options of places you can integrate it with. And we want to choose our service reviews module. Click next. And we want to add records. It is possible to update records, based on a unique field, or you could select add and update. But for everything in our use case, we're just going to be adding new review records. Now for service review name, you can give this a either hard code in a name, or you could give it a response that someone gave in the survey. You could assign that to this. For now, we're just going to call it the name of the company. Now, this is another cool thing about custom variables, is it doesn't matter what someone responds in the survey itself, but if you have programmed or coded in these custom variables, then you can just select those and assign them to a to basically integrate them with a CRM field. So let's go ahead and do that and just have the name of the company be the name of the survey. The next one, the email field, we want the email of the person that's responding, and that's just coded in. For the financial advisor, let's select the advisor. For the what went well, let's do tell us what went well. Improved, what we can improve. Overall service, and reliability, friendliness, Would you recommend us to a friend? How likely are you to recommend us? We need another one. Of course, not the image. Oh, promotional video. We're glad you had a great experience. Would you recommend us? Are there any others we missed? So we got name, company, advisor, Looks like we got everything. If you wanted, here's some other just automatic fields that you can map to the CRM. The response URL, IP address, the survey ID, and any of these others you can program in, type in a direct value if you want. But that's it for now. These little things that pop up, these pop up with drop downs and pick lists. So if you're mapping a field in the CRM to a field in survey, if you have the exact same options, like if they're spelled the exact same, you actually don't have to worry about the mapping. Because for example, very likely, I'll go ahead and map it to very likely, but never in a million years. I guess look at this, maybe with a small bribe and maybe for a small bribe. So if they're not spelled the exact same, you do want to match them. If they are, then it doesn't matter. So because these two are just yes, no, you don't actually have to map that. We also want to include each individual response as a PDF in the CRM while syncing, and that will take care of that for our integration. We just have a couple last things to talk about. Okay, one last feature that's pretty cool that you can use with Survey. So go ahead and click Save, make sure that you've saved your integration. Also, after you've started collecting survey responses, you can go ahead and click on CRM sync status, and it will show you all the responses that successfully synced, those that are untried or failed. Let's go back to the editor, and actually we do want to make some of these mandatory. Usually for most questions, you want to make them mandatory just so that people can't skip them before making it to the end. But if we click on the special actions for any one of these fields, so click into your name and then advanced options. Ooh, it's advanced again, watch out. Click prepopulate answer. Now this is pretty cool. From the URL parameter. Hey, where did we see that before? With our custom variables. So you can either do an initial value, like say that we were sending this out to Michael Jordan, and if he was the only person in the world that we were sending this out to, we could send it to him and he'd be impressed, be like, oh, wow, my name's already in there. I don't even have to type it in. Now, that's usually not the case, but if we want a URL parameter, let's go ahead and put client, right? Because we're sending this out to a specific client and we stored their name in that custom variable. So click save. That will be pre-populated. Now, you know what we're going to do next with company name. Go to advanced options, pre-populate answer from a URL parameter and type in company, which is our custom variable. For financial advisor, same thing, advisor. And this does a couple things. When the information is already in there, when the client pulls up the survey, one, it'll give them the confirmation that, okay, these guys, you know, they know their stuff, they know who I am. But it also just makes it a little bit easier. They don't have to worry about inputting the correct information. It saves them a little bit of time, and it really just smooths the process. Seeing these 3 fields filled out already makes it much easier to just continue with this and focus on the review of the service itself. So without further ado, let's test out this feature we just built. Okay, so we finished this. Let's go ahead and send out an email. Go to any deal record in your CRM and just make sure that that deal has both a contact, which I'm here working with Alexander Hamilton, and he is a member of the company, the Washington Nationals. So if it has both of those, and then if your contact also has an email, then when you send it out, and you can see them here in emails, I already sent mine just so that I didn't have to wait for the delay in this video. Pretty cool. Here it is with our custom variables and pre-populating information. It already had my name, well, Alexander Hamilton's name, the company, and the name of the financial advisor in there. So you don't even have to worry about that now. Everything, if we go ahead and fill this out for Alexander Hamilton, we say my advisor was out of this world. A little less on the friendly scale, but overall the service was pretty great. If I said I'm very likely to recommend this to a friend, then like we saw earlier, with these logic rules, you may or may not be prompted to select this. So if we submit this, then we should be able to go back to our service reviews module in the CRM. And it may take a minute for it to come in. If you have nothing in here, this is what it looks like. So we'll just refresh, see if it came in yet. There are Actually, we'll probably do this in the next video. There are quite a few things you can do with surveys that would be pretty cool. A few suggestions for extra little add-ons you can try on your own. But as we see here, this just came in. Click on this, and we have all our information. So we have our financial advisor. The service review name is just the name of the company for which it works, or for which the person works. Here we have our feedback. Yes, they want to work with us in a promotional video. We can maybe build some analytics components or dashboards using this data here. And they're very likely to recommend us to a friend. So it looks like our integration worked well. Pre-population of data worked just fine. Go ahead and watch the next video for a few more ideas of ways you can make your surveys and data collection even cooler. Okay, a couple last things to think about. One, we look up here in the attachments, there's a PDF of our survey submission. So that's great to have that for reference. Another thing, you can see our deal here. This is empty. Now, if we looked up Alexander Hamilton, we could associate this to the deal from which we sent out the survey. And then as the surveys start to come in and they're associated to deals, we have that really nice relational database. But we don't want to have to do that each time a survey comes in, search for it. So what can you do? Hopefully you're thinking Deluge right now. Deluge is pretty cool to associate those records, right? So you could, you could create another lookup field to the contacts module, and using the email, you could search the contacts module for contact with that email, and then you could connect that way. Another way, you could create a custom variable for the deal name, pipe that into the CRM, and then use that as a lookup to the deals module. All this into Luge, and then you, once you find the right record and get its ID, you put that into the lookup field. So lots of different things you can do in terms of relating these service reviews back to contact or deal records or even accounts. Lots of cool things you can do. Like I mentioned earlier, maybe people that come in, service reviews that come in with a yes in the promotional video field, you create a task for the owner to reach out to them and say, hey, it's great that you'd like to help us with this video. When can we set that up? Lots of cool things you can do with analytics in terms of running, creating charts, running reports on who is the happiest, which financial advisors are bringing the best results, are creating happy customers, people that, rank these really high, you could ask for referrals from them, lots of different things like that. So feel free to play around with your Zoho survey. As you can see, there are a lot of other things you can explore in settings. You can customize and change the survey end pages, kind of the message that appears at the end. You can use different themes, make it look really pretty. And the main goal of this course, right, was, how can we use surveys to effectively collect data for the purpose of, improving our business, running analytics, gaining insights into how our operations are going. So play around with it, explore, go build on your own. Hopefully you learned a lot.